Welcome to episode 144 of Stageworthy. I'm your host, Phil Rickaby. Stageworthy is a podcast about people in Canadian theatre featuring conversations with actors, directors, playwrights, and more. As I record this, it is my last day in St. John, New Brunswick after a wonderful Fundy Fringe Festival. I was so honored that my play, The Commandment, was named the Outstanding Solo Show of the 2018 Fundy Fringe Festival, which capped off a great 5 days of Fringe. I've had a great time here in St. John, but on Monday it's off to the next stop, Halifax, for the Halifax Fringe. If you want to drop me a line, you can find Stageworthy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at StageworthyPod, and you can find the website at stageworthypodcast.com. If you want to drop me a line, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Phil Rickaby, and my website is philrickaby.com. My guest this week is Kendall Savage, clown, director, and the co-artistic director of the Montreal Clown Festival. She's also the director of Wild Bill's Facebook live feed Feeding Time YouTube Yeehaw, opening at the Halifax Fringe on August 31st. So when do you head over for Halifax?
Halifax, we're leaving, I believe, the 28th of August to get ourselves organized out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really soon.
Yeah, that comes up. So you're going to have a little bit of time there.
Yeah, we're staying there, I think, for about 2 weeks total. But, we're showing up, oh my gosh, I want to say 4 days early to search for a couch for the for the performance. We didn't want to drag a couch across province.
No, why would you? My goodness. It's all about minimalism when you're trying to go from place to place.
Oh, yes.
What is the show that you'll be presenting in the Halifax Fringe?
So it's from this lovely company that is owned by Steve Day, who's a local Gaulier clown who is starting to get back into clowning. And it's called Wild Bill's Facebook live feed Feeding Time YouTube Yeehaw. And
that is quite a name.
Yeah. I call it Wild Bill, but we are actively trying to use the entire title when we introduce it to people. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun title. It's a memorable title.
Absolutely.
It took me a while to have to get my lips around it.
How long did it take to be able to just rattle it off like that?
You know, I could have tried a little harder, but it probably took me a solid week or two of actively sitting down and being like, Wild Bill's Facebook live feed, Feeding Time YouTube, yeehaw, Wild Bill's Facebook live feed, and repeating it sort of mantra style. Because it's a really interesting story how I got involved, or I feel it is. If we're just going to be rolling with conversation.
Yeah, we're just going to roll with it.
I want to say that Steve Day is one of the bravest people I've ever met when it comes to Fringe performances, because he had 2 shows already under his belt, no stage manager. They had such technical difficulties in the first week. We went through 7 computers because there's projection in the show, dealing with online harassment and trolls. Huh. And he still insisted that he do every single show. And when I saw him at the Fringe for All, where everyone has their 2 minutes to perform, his 2 minutes on stage were so genuinely hilarious and super, super simple that I was very impressed, and I reached out to him to be like, I can't wait to see your show. And then he's like, can you help me? and then I was like, well, I got a little bit of free time. And as soon as I met the guy, we sat down, we talked, we went through the show, and I was brought in to sort of help just bring it all together. And now we have what we have, and it's wonderful, and it's fun, and it's genuine, and I could not be more proud of this human. And he did every single show. One show, the computer wouldn't work for some reason. We were on computer number 5, and I sat in the front row, and I read every single line of the computer, and we just did it. He just did it. He's like, I'm not going to give up. We're going to do this show. And I really respect that about him. So
Yeah, absolutely. Projections are such a deadly thing. Like, I've done a couple of shows with projections. One show was really projection intense, and every time we would start, we would wonder: is this going to be the one where we see the beach ball?
yep,
Is this going
yep,
to be the one where the computer freezes? And
yep, that
it's
happened.
nerve wracking. Just
It is,
nerve
and
wracking.
he designed a tech heavy show.
Mm.
I for a Fringe show, I think it's extremely tech heavy personally. So I'm more of
That's
a
really brave to
yeah
do that when you are going into a different space that you don't know so well. It's one thing
yeah.
if you're familiar with the space to do it, or you have a lot of time in the space. But
Hmm.
you've got 4 hours to tech it.
Yeah, and we have to do it, so I believe we're gonna do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but we have discussed it. Like we had a little in rehearsal the other day. The computer did a little click click, and we
Mm.
sort of froze and tried not to panic, and then everything kind of smoothed out. So we're just. I'm gonna be grateful if the computer starts so much. Because there can't be a number 8. There can't be a number 8. No
No.
way.
Oh my
No way.
god, a number
So.
no. Like, are these computers dying and you're just like buying
No,
new
so
ones? Or
some of them are brand. Some of them are brand new. We borrowed. It got to a point where we were borrowing friends' computers that were like brand new, as far as I could
mm,
tell.
mm.
And it was just a kismet. The clown gods just really wanted to challenge us, and I have never been more challenged in my life.
And
Yeah.
do the clown gods continue to challenge you?
Oh yes, very much so. But I'm rolling with the punches. It's sort of the clown gods challenge me right now because I jumped on and agreed to a project that ends 2 days before I go in to run Le Festival des Clowns de Montréal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little terrifying because running a
Mm-hmm.
clown festival is extremely beautifully stressful and filled with clown god gifts. But coming from another province, jumping over and going straight into our festival.
That's gonna be rough because there's must be a lot that you're doing leading up to
Oh
the
yes,
that clown festival while
yes,
you're doing this show in Halifax.
yeah. I'm like this morning. I'm still desperately trying to reach out to get people to come because that's always your number one worry. Like, are we advertising enough? Do
Tell me
people
about
really
it.
know about it? Is anybody going to come? And
Yeah,
then like, but I have an
yeah.
amazing team. I have an amazing team of about 10 people plus.
Hmm.
Um, and everybody's pretty on top of their game. And I couldn't be
That's
more
great.
grateful for that. Yeah.
That's great. I have to admit, I'm a little nervous about Halifax.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in St. John right now, getting ready to do the Fundy Fringe here,
Oh, fun.
and I have no idea. I can only look at the thing in front of me, so um, I have. I'm trying to keep on top of everything that I need to for
Yeah.
Halifax and try to set some stuff up, but I'm also needing to focus here. So I don't know.
And
I
not
don't
lose
know if
your
anybody's
cool.
coming. So yeah,
And not lose your
trying
cool.
not to worry about it.
Try not to get wrapped up in the party scene because you're also there and you want to have a good time and you want to
Yeah,
meet
I'm too old for
people.
the party scene,
Oh
so I'm not
yeah.
that worried about it. I meet people. I mean, the thing is, I've noticed that all of their programming is like it starts at like 11:45 here, like the post Fringe programming at the hub. And
Oh.
for the most part, I'm like that. I'm gonna be in bed.
Okay. Fair
I'm gonna be in
enough.
bed.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I
But,
try. I might have a little party left in me. I'm not quite there yet, but
you never know. I mean,
I
you don't know
can't
until
be too
you
wild.
go how much party you've got left in you.
It's true. It's true. In Montreal, where I focus most of my because I live here and we work with the main line
Hmm.
and the Fringe, it becomes quite a party scene. So I guess, and
Oh no.
I've never participated in another Fringe. This is my first participation in another Fringe, so I don't really know how alike and disalike they are. So that's
I
exciting.
I think I think Montreal is known as a party fringe,
Yeah.
and it might be known as the party fringe on the
Oh.
circuit. So you might find that there is less party in other
Oh.
fringes. I mean, there's still party, but not
Really?
like Montreal.
Okay. Okay. That's good.
there's no 13th hour. Nobody's partying until 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, maybe they
Okay.
are, but not at the
Well,
Fringe. So,
yeah. That's probably for
um,
the best.
it probably is. It probably is. I mean, a lot of people like the Fringe, the Montreal Fringe to kick off their tour.
Mhm.
So it's a good way to party through the Fringe. But yeah, no. I mean, every Fringe is different, and you'll see that almost immediately when you get there.
Mhm.
Um, Aside from the Fringe, I do want to talk about Clown, and I want to talk about the Montreal Festival of Clowns, and also your like, how did you get into clown? What is your clown slash theater origin story?
I in the beginning, I how did I do? I remember this. So, gosh, I don't remember how old I was, but I graduated from the Randolph Academy of Performing Arts. My first degree was in musical theater, and I had fallen out of performance for all kinds of health reasons and life reasons, and then um, there used to be, I don't think it exists anymore, but there used to be the most wonderful sort of get back on your feet for actors conservatory called the Players Academy in Toronto. And I went into that, and I believe it was like an 8-month intensive get back on your feet. And 3 months of it was working with Mike Kennard from Mump and Smoot
Oh
on
yes.
Clown.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember these exact words when they said, "You're going to be taking Clown." I went, "Clown? Who the hell has a career in clown?" And those are my exact words. and then and then Mike swooped in, and just this whole magical world opened up. And then he invited me to go learn at the Clown Farm before it was called the Conservatory of Creation Performance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and I remember laughing and being like, again, saying, "Clown, who has a career in clown?" And then walking away for a few years. And in about 2009, so years had passed, I decided I needed a fresh start. I was going to go back to university for more acting in Montreal. And the first year I was there, Cirque du Soleil scouted me for clown.
Hmm.
I remember because they saw me in a performance, and I remember scratching my head and being like, "Oh, I think maybe I should explore this a little bit more." Because all the signs are pointing towards I should be doing clown.
Hmm.
And that's when I head first dove in, and I was producing workshops from clowns after school hours for the students, and I was going to the clown farm, and I was experiencing Francine Cote, and then I did a little bit of Philippe Gaulier experience. And then it turned out like every third person in Montreal is a clown or involved in clowning,
Hmm.
because there are so many circuses and circus schools, and of course Cirque du Soleil, Cirque Oise, Cirque Carmagnole, Le Sept Doigts, the Seven Fingers. Doctor Clowning is huge here. It's just there's such a huge community, but and they're so scattered, or they were so scattered.
Yeah.
And I just dove in, and then it just like a huge tidal wave rolled over me, and the next thing I know, I am where I am.
Hmm. What is it about Montreal that attracted so much clown? Did it come from Cirque du Soleil, or was it there before Cirque?
I think it was here. I do believe it was here before Cirque. Absolutely, it was here before Cirque. It's the connection between, personally believe, between Europe and Quebec,
Hmm.
because the French community is handles the arts very differently than the English community, and
Hmm.
that's a good thing and sometimes a bad thing. But it's just different. Different,
Yeah.
is neither. But it's like in Europe, where clown, much like comic books, are considered a high art,
Mm-hmm.
and they have people like Lecoq has been doing it forever and ever and ever up
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then Philippe Gaulier, and so there's all these experts, and then all of the French people here relate to it so much more out there. So they go, they learn, and then they find out there's a beautiful cabaret circuit out there where they can actually go and tour for 6 months out of the year, save all of their money, and come back and then afford to live in Montreal, because Montreal is the most affordable city in Canada to live in. I like the rent is just magical, and I hope it stays like that forever and ever and ever. But I'm sure it won't. But we'll see. And so what happens is all of these clowns are going to train, touring the circuit, and then coming back home and then teaching here. And then more clowns are going over, doing the cabaret circuit and coming back and teaching here. And Canada, just as I'm sure you know, doesn't support its artists properly.
No.
The funding's not there. The work isn't there. But the passion and the talent and the love is there. And it's sort of heartbreaking that way.
Yeah.
And so the relationship to clown here, in my opinion, is different in other places in Canada because of the outreach of France and Europe and how they treat the arts.
Do you find that the support of the arts, when we say the support of the arts is not really there in Canada, is that the same in Quebec? Or is there more support for the arts in Quebec than there is in the rest of Canada?
Quebec is super unique because they have their own star system here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really difficult topic and a really interesting topic that, you know, we could have a whole episode on just this topic. But had I not moved here and took the time to understand the history of the culture and the colonialism within the French community, I don't think I would have really grasped why it's so cliquey. But now I understand why they have their own star system. It's so difficult for anyone who's not born Quebec or French to get into the French arts area, because they are looking out for themselves. And I respect that, because we do pretty much have just about the rest of Canada, and they do just sort of have their province. And I think no one's to blame for that. It's a little bit of everybody who sort of put themselves in this box. But it's different because the francophones financially support the francophones because they don't think there's anyone else that would do it.
Right.
And English Theatre Canada sort of just, in Quebec, has their own little niche.
Right.
And it's like the little engine that could, kind of. I don't know if that answers the question.
Sure, no, it helps.
But
you said when you moved to Quebec, you're not originally from Quebec?
No, I'm originally from the Niagara region in a little teeny town called Ridgeville, Ontario.
Okay. How did you find was it school that took you to Quebec, or was it something else?
Yes, I went to Concordia University for theater performance, which morphed into a focus on clown and physical theater while I was there in, I believe, 2009. And then I stuck around. Oh, well, there was a year... there was a year and a half where I went to Edmonton, Alberta, to get my master's degree in the history of women in clown. But I very, very, very happily, after a year and a half working with Mike Kennard, who I'm so grateful still speaks to me, decided that a master's degree wasn't for me. And I moved back with my partner. We moved out there.
What was it like? I mean, I know a master's degree probably isn't for me, but was it the academia that didn't agree with you, or was there something else?
I love a good little academia in my life to read day to day. But I'm not gonna pretend I'm something I'm not. Right. I'm not an academic. I'm not. I was like, I could be an academic, no problem. And then my writing standards weren't up to. It wasn't fun. Yeah. I know I'm oversimplifying it, but it was not fun. It was constantly working for other people. I was in an absolute emotional state of disarray. I was having major health problems out there. I was not happy,
Yeah.
and the city is cold and dark, but the people are wonderful. I've met some of the most wonderful people in my entire life out there that I'm dear friends with, and I love that I had this experience. But I'm not an academic. I don't like working for other people in that sense. A lot of it was doing work for teachers who were never happy with my quality of work, and I didn't know how at the time to change and improve that. And I couldn't make anyone happy, and I wasn't making myself happy, and I wasn't making Mike look very good as a professor. And so I decided to just call it a day. And and it's the best choice I've ever made. I've never made such a wonderful, difficult choice in my life, and I'm so happy for it.
Well, I mean,
I'm sure the university.
It can be difficult to leave a thing. Like once you started, I know people who have, they spent ages saying to themselves, "I have to finish my degree. I have to finish my degree because then at least I have a degree." But they're so miserable while they're doing it that they're making themselves sick.
It is the only thing I have ever quit in my life. Even the festival got started because I got drunk one night and I announced it was going to happen, and the room went absolutely crazy. And then I woke up the next morning and said, "Oh shoot, I better follow through."
Yeah,
and I did.
Well, how long has the festival been going on?
We're going into our third year.
Nice.
Third's a charm. Yeah, the first year was myself and my partner, my life partner, and I reached out for a little help, and I should have reached out for way more, and we got through it. And then, due to kismet, by texting the wrong person, I met Vanessa Rio, who is my business partner, my co-artistic director. We call ourselves the glitter and the glue, and she is the glue, and I would be absolutely nothing without her.
Right.
She has applied for all of our grants. She does everything that my brain can't focus, and I do everything that she tells me to do. And if it wasn't for her, there would not be a second or a third festival. And I'm eternally grateful for this woman, this dear friend, and this hilarious clown who is just the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
What surprised you about running a festival that first year?
Ooh, what surprised me? Well, I think I surprised myself with my organizational skills, and the fact that we did it. Just the fact that there was a beginning and a middle and an end, and no one had murdered me, and I hadn't murdered anyone, was probably the biggest surprise. And then ego from myself, ego from other artists. Vulnerability surprised me. My temper or control, learning to control a temper, realizing that it's freaking out is not an option.
Right.
Surprised me. That's the biggest thing I have walked away from this is I can't freak out. It's not an option. I'm the stone that's holding the picnic blanket down, and I have to stay grounded so everyone else can succeed. Because my job is making sure that everyone else succeeds. And that was a huge surprise because I'm very much a performer.
Yeah.
And I'm very much a solo artist, so it's always been me. And then all of a sudden I was landed in a role. I was like, whoa, ego, it's not about you. This is about making sure everyone else is successful, and therefore you are successful.
Was there a moment where, like, that you could think of where you figured out that freaking out was not an option? Was there something happening? Did you, did you freak out and realize that it, like, I don't know, ruined everything? Or
no, I've had one major freak out last year. The first year, I was just in a constant state of sneaking away to the ladies' room and sitting on a stall and crying my stress out, and then gathering myself and leaving, which sort of saved my life. And then the second year, I had one major freak out because I had organized everything so well, and then someone told me I didn't.
Oh no!
And it was the very last day, an hour before the closing gala. and I took it all out on my life partner.
Mm.
And there we had a mini screaming match. And then that was the only time I really, really like verbally freaked out.
Yeah.
But there was a moment, and I don't know if
But were
it's
they right when
appropriate.
they said that it wasn't as well organized as you thought, or was it just somebody being an asshole?
There was a little column A, little column B.
Okay.
There was a manager of one of the cabarets that we run a successful clown cabaret out of. Told me I hadn't reserved the space until a week before the festival, but in fact I had reserved it a year in advance.
Right.
Called 6 months earlier, called 3 months prior, called a week prior to the festival, and then showed up and said, "You didn't reserve the space." And I was just exhausted on my last, and I freaked out.
I don't blame you.
I think you just hit a sore spot. You hit a sore spot.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the reason.
No, go ahead.
Oh no! Well, I was just going to say that wasn't when I realized I couldn't freak out. The first year, I had a very unhappy artist who I choose to remain nameless, who wasn't really sure what we were getting into, because I didn't even know really what I was doing or what this festival was doing, and I got chewed out daily by this artist, and I realized I just couldn't give my power away.
Right.
This artist was nervous. This artist was afraid. This artist was a certain caliber that wasn't used to doing something so grassroots. And that's when I realized I had to just bite the bullet, get chewed out,
right,
and move on. So,
not an easy thing to do.
No.
But so, how are you juggling doing what you're doing for this Fringe show, doing what you're doing to get ready to run the Clown Fest 2 days after you're finished the Halifax Fringe? How are you keeping on top of all of that?
Am I keeping on top of it is the question. Well, besides my stellar team of people, my abs, I can't thank them enough. They're the most wonderful crew in the entire world. There's too many of them to name. I think I just have to wake up and I make little lists of this is what I have to do today, this is what I have to do tomorrow, and I know like I have major things, like I have to get 2 bilingual contracts set up this weekend, so when I come back I can organize everyone's contracts so they make sure they get paid. That's one of the big things. Delegation is really helping. That's a huge thing I learned. Knowing when to ask for help. And so I'll reach out and discuss, I need you to do this for me right now because I have too much on my plate. And then I have to trust my artist, Steve Day, for Wild Bill, that he's doing his part of trying to get ready. And a lot of it is knowing what you can and you cannot control. So I can't really control who's going to come see our show.
No.
I can't control 100% if the tech is going to go crazy and we're going to have another wild Montreal Fringe. And I have to just be at peace with that. And I just have to take it one bit at a time and know that freaking out's not going to make it any better and stay calm.
I mean, that's certainly a big challenge, and it's certainly, it's difficult to keep calm in those situations. I know for me, like, I don't know, I feel like in St. John, I have a network of people because I'm not from here, but I have a lot of friends here. And so that's something that I can sort of rely on, and they can, they've sort of shared my event around and talk to people and stuff. But I don't have so many people in Halifax. And so about the only thing that I know that I can do is when I show up in Halifax on the 27th is get posters up and start talking to people.
Yeah.
Which is not easy for me because I'm a huge introvert and that is exhausting. But if I want people to see my show, I know I have to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to hustle.
Yeah.
Hustling is the most difficult part because I just there's a bit of I still feel a bit of imposter syndrome
Oh, I think
whenever
we
I'm
all
in.
do. I think we all
Yeah,
do.
whenever I'm involved with anything,
Mm.
and the way I came onto this project, because the Wild Bill was already a show.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't so much directed it as helped keep it organized
Mm-hmm.
and been a sounding board for it to make moments stronger, and it's been a pleasure. But it's like I'm here to help, and we're gonna go, but where am I in this?
Mm.
And then you show up and you're like, I love this show. Are you guys going to love this show? I don't know. That's a risk you have to take. But
Yeah.
I love this show and I love this artist. And I love that I feel needed.
Mm. So
And we,
what is your role at the Fringe? I mean, are you running this show? Or are you just helping to produce? What do you do?
I'm with Wild Bill, you
Yeah,
mean?
with Why Bill.
So I'm helping stage manage.
Okay.
I'm producing a little bit. I'm just, there was a clown I'm a bit of a bleeding heart too.
Mm-hmm.
There was a clown in need. And
Mm-hmm.
as someone who's a leader in my community, I stepped up to bat and saw just how much this clown needed help
Mm-hmm.
and loved the show. I love the show. I think it's charming and funny and sincere and full of ups and downs, and the journey's been wonderful. And so I'm showing up with him to make sure that the show runs much smoother than Montreal, and I'm excited for an experience like this,
Mm.
and I'm gonna help sell the show, and we're gonna just have a really wonderful time.
Yeah.
So it's really it's exciting. I'm showing up to this Fringe to make sure that one of my clowns in my community is thriving.
I mean, that is amazing. I mean, I know back home in Toronto, I will often sit with people and we'll talk about things like we talk about the theater community, but what is that? Is there a
Mm-hmm.
community? We have a bunch of different cliques all over the place, but is there a community? When does that community get together and things like that? But it sounds like there is a little more of a community, at least in clown in Montreal, and that you are stepping up for each other.
Yeah, well, there was and there wasn't.
Mm.
There was a lot of separation between Francophone clown and English clown.
Mm.
Kind of. And then when I started with Francine Cote School of Clowning and James Keel on this clown cabaret, at the time called Les Clown, that was to try to bring everyone together because there was nowhere for them to really perform.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the festival sort of bloomed from their wonderful cabaret, my goal was to create community.
Hmm.
Because artists are nothing without other artists.
Yeah,
We're the
yeah.
ones that come out to see our shows. We're the ones that are used as sounding boards.
Mm-hmm.
And I strongly believe that if I'm going to talk the talk, I have to walk the walk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And although this is a bit of a wild jump, agreeing 2 days before my festival to go help this person, I'm very much a woman of my word. And I
Mm-hmm.
said that I would do it.
Yeah.
And I'm following through.
Well, that's great. That's great. Oh, there was something you said that I wanted to build on, and now, of course, I've forgotten. Is there? I mean, in terms of the clown festival. So we've talked about what you do, what you're doing with Wild Bill. What does your role look like running a festival of clowns?
It fluctuates throughout the year, but I would say mostly the pinnacle point of my job happens when we are in the theater.
Mm.
I'm also the clown connections. Like I have connections all over the world with different clowns, and I absolutely love meeting clowns of all different pedagogies and getting to know them. And so I feel like I'm sort of the face of the festival.
Mm.
And then throughout the year, Excuse me. And then once the festival starts, I am in the space almost 24 hours.
Wow.
Making sure that when the shows arrive for tech, that my technicians and my head of tech have everyone ready and comfortable, and contracts are signed, and money is understood, how the payout's going to happen, and the special events that we have, several free special events are being run smoothly. I run a workshop. We have John Davison coming this year from England.
Nice.
Via the New York Clown Festival, and that's huge. His workshop sold out very quickly.
Wow.
He's amazing. I highly recommend everyone reading his books. Then I float around in the evenings in one of my fabulous dresses that I am known for, just making sure that everyone is happy. So my job is to host, make sure everyone is happy, make sure everything is going smoothly. If the artists need anything, doing my best to make sure the artists get what they need and are happy. Cirque du Soleil is wonderful. They give the artists and special guests tour of the grounds. Nice. So I go there and I make sure our connections between the casting department of Cirque is smooth. And I just make sure I like to think that my job is to make sure that everyone is happy and healthy.
Well, that's a really good way to look at it, I think. I mean, I don't know. I've seen directors of other festivals, and you know, they look a lot more stressed and a lot more. I'm not sure what they're concentrating on, and sometimes they seem to be absent. And it sounds like you're right front and center. And so
I try to be.
Well, I mean, you can't always be, but because there's always going to be something. But I think it's admirable that you're trying.
Thank you.
Is there something in particular that you're looking forward to at the Halifax Fringe?
I've never been to Halifax, so I'm really excited to go to Halifax. But I have to admit, I've been so busy, I haven't gone through their shows yet to see who's coming to perform. So I can't say for sure.
To be honest,
besides your show, either. Oh my gosh, Phil, I can't wait to see your show.
Well, thank you, Kendall. I have to admit, I have not looked. I know I want to see a She-Wolf. But that's the only show that I know so far. So I have to. I mean, I haven't really looked too far ahead yet because again, I'm focusing here, but. I mean, there's time, right? There's time to figure out what shows to see, and hopefully time to see Halifax a little while there too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also excited that I'll be giving a workshop at the Halifax.
Are you doing a clown workshop?
Sort of. I'm focusing on clown and impulse by using games and techniques from the Pachenko.
Okay.
Where we're going to be looking at our inner impulse machine and learning to listen to our bodies first.
Well, that sounds amazing.
Before we can implement it into clown. It's a lot of fun. A lot of it is just inner exploration of discovering what impulse is and then how we can take it and apply it to clown or theater or our everyday lives.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Yeah. It's going to be fun. That's what I'm aiming for.
Yeah. And what day did you arrive at? Do you arrive in Halifax again?
I believe we're showing up the 28th. Okay. We're driving, and then.
I bet that's a gorgeous drive.
Oh, I'm really excited. I bet it is. I love car. I love drives. We drove to Prince Edward Island last year, and I was just like, yeah, it was the greatest thing.
That's nice. Well, I will see you in Halifax. Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for this. It's been wonderful. Kendall.
This has been a Homebody Productions production.